We can see a man running into a building. As he enters, there are some people in a room. They all are the best gamers in the town. They all are offered a winning prize of $100,000 to participate in a new game called the Call-Up. When all members arrive at the meeting place, a robotic voice welcomes them and asks them to sign in the tablets with their usernames, and that from now on they will be referring to each other. They all are asked to dress in high-tech motion capture suits. Adam gets mocked because of his fatness. As he undresses, during the undressing, Carl shows a severe burn scar around his waist. He tells his username comes after his girlfriend's cat name. They enter a large white room with a big scanner in it. They have to enter inside the scanner and say their users' names to register. They're now able to get the high-tech armor. The gear suits are made with advanced technology that allows the player to live in a fantasy world, and they can fully live the game through the suits. Adam comments that these suits were only available to the Millionaire League, but for some reason they were selected to try them out. Sahid is not much excited of the game, because of his username, terrorist_1. He feels it can become offensive. The voice in the ceiling says that the game can't start until all players are ready, but Zahid decides to leave the place. Just when he gets to the door, he shows that it's locked and they are trapped there. Sahid agrees to continue against his will, so everyone is ready to begin when they put on their virtual reality helmets. The whole scenario in front of them changes. They enter in a post-apocalyptic virtual world. They enter in a building which is dark. Their suits are replaced with military uniforms, and although everything feels tangible, things on the stage don't respond to their touch. Then a sergeant appears telling them what their mission will be in the building. They don't believe that this is real. They all lift their helmet to confirm. Now it is confirmed that they all are in a game, and Sergeant is a part of game. They follow the sergeant across the stage, and he presents their weapons, with everyone impressed by how real they look and feel. The weapons are not real, they are using prop weapons. The sergeant gives them a tutorial consists of teaching them how to use their weapons by shooting some bottles. Some of them hit and some fail, and that's when they learn about how a vest is their only form of defense. In case they receive a direct shot from the enemy, they will lose the vest and there will be no other protection for them. To give them a demonstration, Sergeant shoots a couple of players so they can lose their vests. If that happens and they are in critical condition, the only salvation is to use serums to restore their lives. Sergeant explains players about the mission. He tells them the building is filled with terrorists. The game's primary goal is to kill all the terrorists, and they have to get on the first floor alive. Whoever succeeds in doing so will win the cash prize of 100,000 grand. The level starts at once, and everyone is led by Andre, who has experience because of his background in military. The team thoroughly inspects the floor area and finds the enemy for the first time. Andre manages to kill the first terrorist without casualties. The game voice tells the players they have completed the level, and all of the points will go to Andre, cause he killed the terrorist. To enter the next level, they must go down the stairs, finding a mechanism that does not allow them to go down any more floors until they finish the current level. If they try to go down, they will be electrocuted by electrical wiring. The new scenario is similar to the old one. Now they got the new guns for the players, so Andre teaches everyone from the group how to use the guns properly. Now in level 2 it involves hiding, dodging, and preparing a counterattack to defeat the terrorists, who possess new weapons as well. A terrorist shoots Adam. Andre saves Adam from a direct hit from the terrorist. In order to save him he loses his vest. Now he is not safe from an attack. Taylor is faced with the terror of the game's realism. She goes by the username Slayer Girl, but reveals to everyone that she is not who she says she is. Apparently she replaced the real Slayer Girl, so she doesn't belong there and wants to get out of the game as soon as possible. Shelly calms her down, the other gamer girl, who says that nothing of that is real and it's just a simulation. Despite this, Shelly thinks the gunfire feels real. As he looks, she finds a terrorist walking around the building. She points her gun towards him, but Carl kills up the terrorist, having his first victory, but it does not last long as he receives a surprise shot in the back. Carl gives up, and he surrenders himself and say just leave him alone, but the terrorist shoots him, almost at point-blank range, and he gets knocked onto the ground. Before the situation gets worse, Shelley saves Carl, who agonizes on the floor. Carl's response only ends up being quite exaggerated, but also borderline traumatic. The damage received is not only noticeable in the game, but in real life, as if a bullet had really hit him. Shelley removes her helmet to make sure everything is okay, and to her surprise, Carl has no apparent damage on the outside. The pain perpetuates until Andrea appears and gives him his serum to heal in the game. The bloody hole in the puddle around Carl are restored, immediately feeling better but still traumatized by the experience. They all take a break and have a meeting to discuss the possibility of everything being part of a reality TV show. Shahid panics and fails to try to take off his suit, which seems to be quite tight and embedded to the body. He theorizes that this is a human test for Andre Weapon Company, and they are using gamers to test it. Everyone says that he is pretending. Is it wrong? Shahid say that they all are too shallow and greedy for the prize money. He says that they should stop playing this game. Andre is fed up by the acquisitions. He chooses to leave, leaving them all to their fate. With his helmet raised up and staying in the plane of the real world, an angry Andre goes to the bathroom, not realizing the game still goes on. He is surprised in front of a mirror by several revived terrorists, and he only has time to lower his helmet before taking a direct hit. Everyone is alerted that the new level has begun as soon as everything starts. Taylor tries to get out through the level of obstruction, but her plan is frustrated because of the electric wiring. All perform random actions without him throwing a grenade that manages to hit the terrorists, the only successful move of the round. The next scene shows Andre trying to look for help while crawling on the ground, but only feels himself slowly bleeding to death. The voice in the ceiling tells the players they passed level 2, with Adam getting the higher score. That's when they hear Andre cries for help in the distance before being struck down by internal pain. Andre manages to hear a timer counting down. Once the timer ends, it discharges a high-voltage current from the helmet into his brain, causing Andre to convulse to death. The others find him lying on the ground, unable to save him and leaving the game with only 7 players. So he grabs a fire extinguisher, panicking and sweating, asking for a volunteer to help him remove his helmet. Carl immediately offers to do it, so Shahid ducks and braces for impact. Carl does his best, but nothing happens. The material is too rigid and solid. As he is unable to get out from the suit, suddenly Sergeant shows up and start beating him for breaking the rules. Everyone is feeling puzzled. He assures the others that there will be real consequences if they try to get out of the game. Despite their disadvantaged position, they manage to advance through the following levels without losses, learning how to use new weapons and guns, facing things like attacking with tactical knives and hand-to-hand combat to avoid gunfire due gas leaks. During one of the levels, Adam and Carl are wounded and the team uses a couple of serums to save them. After a while they see that it is already night in the real-life city, so the entire group of players tries once again to get out of there, only in a more desperate way. By pushing a cart against the windows, trying to get the attention of someone below. They manage to break the window a little, but just before they can get it, the sergeant attacks again. The insurgent Shahid, only this time the damage ends up being more realistic than usual and ends up breaking his leg badly. In real life, Shahid asked the others to hide him for the following levels and continue by themselves. After a few moments he dies of blood loss. Marco gets shot by a terrorist. Shelley gives Marco her serum. Carl talks with Shelley, realizing from her identification that she has no family, and Shelley confirms this by saying that her parents are deceased. Carl also comments on how he is alone as well, with Adam saying that he lives with his grandmother with Alzheimer's, Marco is divorced and Edward is an only child in an orphan. They realize that they were picked for the game, due to their lonely condition, and no one will search for them. The next level they find the sergeant, beating and torturing a hostage. The team's new mission is to extract a password from the hostage to defuse a bomb inside the building before it explodes. The guy only knows Russian and he is connected to voltage transmitters. Edward instantly presses the high voltage equipment to get the password. The man gives a word that Adam puts in the computer. The terrorist laughs for being a false clue, and in the blink of an eye, Taylor kills him. Marco blames Adam for putting the code wrong and lashes out at him in real life. Edward points out that the sergeant is holding an elevator door at the other side of the room and tells them to get in there to protect themselves from the imminent explosion. Marco holds the door, but leaves Adam behind with him for screwing up the password early. At the same time, the rest of the team reached a place with more weaponry and continue the level for the next test. The terrorists threw a smoke grenade, which seems to trigger a painful memory in Carl. They hide and he tells to Shelley he lost his girlfriend in a fire trying to save her, explaining the scars in his body. Marco pushes Adam until falling, but nothing happens. As he has no bullets, the terrorist responds and shoots at him in the side. After a few moments, Adam dies, leaving the game with only 5 players. Taylor finds a serum. Marco demands it. As she refuses, Marco lashes out and shoots Taylor, taking the serum. Marco meets Carl and they wonder if they have seen the others after. Carl comes across Taylor's corpse and realizes that Marco is a traitor, so he decides to leave the virtual world to fight Marco, taking him down. Marco manages to defeat Carl before he has a chance. The sergeant appears and he punishes Marco for disobeying the rules by killing one of his mates. The sergeant starts beating up the Marco. He eventually kills Hum. The last 3 players meet for the final station in the basement. A terrorist comes out of a nearby van, shoots Carl and makes him fall while the others look for shelter. Luckily, Carl had 1 life serum left, but just before using it, Shelley gets wounded too, so he decides to sacrifice himself in order to save her. Edwards uses a bazooka to make the remaining enemy explode and manages to defuse the bomb. Carl dies holding hands with Shelley, happy to have helped her. At the end of the game, the sergeant appears in his formal uniform. Congratulating them on reaching the homestretch. To Shelley's surprise, Edward repeats the sergeant's speech, showing that he was a real traitor in the operation to unknown purposes. The game concludes, the virtual world fades away, and men in black uniforms arrive to dispose Carl's body. Shelley tries to defend herself, but she's immediately dragged to the sidelines. All the players' information is erased from the database, just like they never existed. Edward admits to her that he didn't believe they would make it to the end. Edward clings that at least he gave meaning to the lives of the deceased players, and that no one will ever believe Shelley, even if she decides to go to the police. He sends one of his employees to sedate her again, but just before the man does it, she fights back, steals his gun, and escapes. Shelley hides in the parking lot. She points at a desperate Edward who begs for his life. Shelley shoots him. I also got a high-tech suit. Wanna play a game? Like and share this video with your friends.